Hanwha in their first game that they lost against AL had Cassante that's like 2-10. Jarvan that's what I don't know. It's won a couple games now. What like 2-10, 2-9, something like that. And Kaisa. So they had the Avengers of losing games.
Hello and welcome back to The Dive, driven by Kia, Season 9, Episode 36. I'm in China. I got here at the beginning of the tournament. It took 37 hours, I think, was the final total travel time because
delayed flight or like cancel or something, or what happened?
Well, we have a layover, but the first leg after the first 16 hours or whatever into Chengdu, at the Chinese border, they rejected my visa because it didn't have my middle name in the 10-year-old Chinese visa that I had from last time. And so Raz is like thinks it's a joke or whatever when they pull me out of the line, and he's like taking pictures of me while I'm like sad, like standing there in line and stuff. And then they come up, and this army Chinese guy comes up and he's like, "I'm sorry, these are not the same." And I was like looking at it and I was like, "What? I literally just came back in here last year with these exact pieces of paper." And he's like, "No, look, that's not the same name. It doesn't say Asa in the middle of Samuel Asa Hartman Kensler." And I was like, God. "But that's the same name though, right? You can see that. That's the same name." And he was like, "No, it's not. Your government and my government, this is not the same name." And I was like, "Whoa. I guess he's serious." But then you can look at the picture, right? And that's the same guy. And he was like, "Nope, you better go get another new visa, motherfucker." And so that took me another 10 hours in the airport. And then
10 hours?
It was almost 10 hours. And then trying to get the next flight actually took a lot more time. They didn't have any more flights then because of the length of time it took me to get the new visa. There were no more flights that day from Chengdu to Beijing. And so thought I was going to have to sleep in the airport, but Kim managed to fix it up for me. Our manager saved me and got me over there eventually. So anyways, we made it to China, and we made it in time for the T1 IG series, which turned out to be quite fun. Quite fun indeed.
That's nightmare travel, my lord.
I'm about to fly you're
looking
tomorrow,
forward to
but
that?
today, I guess. Yeah, I mean, my
Check
trip's
the middle
supposed to be,
name.
I think my itinerary is supposed to be 25 or 26 hours, so it's just a long trip because we have a layover too. But I'm hoping I don't get cooked like Kobe did.
The jet lag gets real crazy when you're staying up for an extra 15 hours in the airport and stuff. So. I don't know. Have you started
an
switching?
easy time though, because I've been up all night watching every game. So hopefully, I'm hoping that puts me on the schedule, but we'll see. Like you said, T1 IG to kick off Worlds was pretty crazy. I kind of feel bad for IG, but it was a fun series, and I mean, I will say I'm pretty surprised. I don't know how much you want to talk about an individual series. Probably not a lot because there was a million of them, right? But I'm pretty surprised after how T1 started that they are actually in the 1-2 group. I'm actually really surprised because I know a lot of the discussion was about how T1's so good at making their adjustments at Worlds, and if they're going to be vulnerable, it's going to be at the very beginning. And they have the history of never losing more than one game in Swiss before, and all this stuff. And so from them having this actual strong start against IG, I was like, okay, T1's just going to kind of go on a tear, right? I was coming into it thinking T1's going to be second best team in the tournament, probably behind Genji as far as favorites to actually win. And the tournament has been pretty surprising with a lot of the teams. I mean, BLG, T1, both in the 1-2 group is crazy work. It would have been nuts if they drew each other.
Yeah, I feel like BLG looked like they kind of deserved to be there, but T1 have had harder draws and I think look better in their games. BLG actually just makes so many mistakes, it looks like. I mean, T1 playing against CFO, I guess you could be like, well, that shouldn't be as hard of a draw, but with how good CFO was looking. And then T1 drew Gen G as well and just got turbo blasted. So, yeah, I mean, it is crazy that those two are in the execution bracket.
Mm-hmm.
And guess who got executed? 100 Thieves, by the way, with the draw.
Yeah.
Dude.
I mean, we'll see. 100 Thieves has gotten the like worst possible draw pretty much the entire way through. I definitely think probably the KT draw the first time in Swiss, you could maybe argue was worse. I don't really remember all their opponents and everything, but like KG got really screwed and had to replay the same opponent and stuff, which like prompted the change of that rule. But they have played such hard opponents. Like when you compare it to MKOI, who is, in the same little 1-2 group, right? MKOI played 2 European teams and now they play Secret Whales, right? And then 100 Thieves is playing like the craziest lineup of teams. You're playing T1, the 2 times defending world champion, in the 1-2 bracket. You played BLG, actually beat them, and then you had Top and HLE. Like it is just brutal. Like not a single Western team, not a single LCP team, just kind of all the best teams. So pretty brutal for 100 Thieves, but hopefully they can make something happen.
Yeah, FlyQuest got a pretty looking like a pretty easy draw though. So
yep.
One of our teams got
G2
good.
doesn't get easier than that. So
That's going to be a good one. Because, I don't know, Europe's not been looking great, but G2's actually, I feel like this is one of their first international results in a while where they're actually kind of looking like that old G2 that we used to always see. Like the
really
good
think
team
so?
from Europe. Yeah, I mean, they looked good against BLG, I thought.
Yeah.
Granted, BLG isn't looking great, but...
I thought they had a really good draft against BLG, and I think they played it out well. But like even in that game, they super trolled the early game, and if they didn't have a massive draft gap, I think they just lose off of that early fight where Skewman re-engages. Like that, they had like got out of River, and then he just like went back in and killed himself, and everyone ran back in and tried to save him and killed themselves too. Like most games, I think if the composition is like more even, and Knight starts with a triple kill, like the game's probably cooked, right? Like. I feel like Rise becomes so difficult to deal with. I thought their draft was super smart, though. They played it out really well, so like credit to them for winning that game. But I still haven't felt like G2 had that G2 magic at all. Because, I mean, G2 versus Top felt not competitive at all to me. Like, they just weren't even doing anything. Like, that was one of the most one-sided games. And this one against BLG, I think, was good for sure. But I am a bit unsure about how to think about them. Similar to FlyQuest, to be fair. Like FlyQuest beat two of the easiest teams in the event, and then got blasted by T1. And Inspired was like completely AFK in that game. Like did literally nothing. What was it? 22 minutes, and he's 0-0-1 or something like that, or like 0-1-0. Like he didn't even have a 1 KP at like 22, 23 minutes on Jarvan.
In his defense,
first pick Jarvan, by the way.
In his defense, Carrier's Bard was
insane,
so disgusting.
But they chose to give it to him.
Okay,
like,
yeah, okay. I think
and
that
he told
is the
him
real problem.
They would do that.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know why they did that. That didn't make any sense. That was cocky.
But Inspired wasn't even trying plays. Don't you think?
I was watching it from his point of view, and granted, I haven't gone back and like looked through it super close, but like Carrier was legitimately everywhere. Like,
he
wasn't even
smurfing.
exaggerating. He was like in every single fight. I remember there was that early dragon fight that FlyQuest went for where Carrier was just there, and then somehow like Masu and Busio were 2v1 against Guma top, and like all they got out of it was a recall where they recalled slightly faster, and then Guma still just pushed in the wave by himself. So it was definitely one of those sad games where we just kind of see NA do nothing and lose. Like they just sort of roll over. I think Whippo's Mordekaiser was kind of making stuff happen. He was like picking up some kills here and there, but it never felt like they really had pressure, like a foothold in the game.
Yeah.
But I think one of the most interesting things for me this world so far is I think partially because everyone's been on Fearless for so long, it's like I think the draft priorities in these BO1s has been all over the place.
Dude,
like,
Sion is so OP. How are people
right?
not actually picking Sion more?
That's I totally agree.
Well, they're picking
in these games. It's like, dude, he is getting hit by the entire team and like not going below half HP.
Sion, no W. Made him use his shield there. We caught him 5-1, face checking a brush. Had to pop W.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's lost only a couple of games, and what I've been saying the whole time watching it, I'm like, it's like I think if you're gonna give Sion, you have to get Trundle because Trundle becomes so insane when he can ult Sion because, you get a ton of HP, you make him killable. So I think that's like the one exception where you can possibly give him. But
I think Cho'Gath top is really good into it too. I'm actually surprised no one's even tried it because it's actually a really good lane matchup, scales well, and I think the silence is actually really effective against a lot of the divers and stuff that are being played right now. Feast is really good at actually playing front to back, so I feel like it's pretty strong. And even if you get stuck into like the lane swap stuff, Cho'Gath can just Q farm, right? Like I think Cho'Gath is actually quite good as an answer. But I feel like, people either need Trundle or they need to be willing to do like counter picks like Bubba was doing with, Mord. They need to do something. Like, I don't think you can just go into a regular game and allow Sion through because it feels like unless you are specifically crafting your comp to kill him, he just doesn't die. Like, he just does way too much.
I think even if you do craft your comp to kill him, he doesn't die because that guy is just easily 2 to 3 times or more tankier than any other champ in the game. He's just so good right now. And he does a lot of damage. We see several clips of Sion's just like outright killing people. Like I remember the one, like I think Dyer got dove by Sion pretty egregiously, just taking like a million turret shots. So yeah, Sion looks great. But then there's been a lot of other like really crazy surprises, I think, in draft. Like it's been talked about a lot on the broadcast, but like Jarvan and Kai'Sa they were picked a lot with a lot of priority and just losing every single game, which was kind of surprising to me because especially Kai'Sa, like she wasn't buffed at all and she hadn't really been seeing a lot of play. And then randomly at Worlds, she's just getting picked early and losing because I don't know. I think she's okay sometimes, but I don't think she's like, a game one of, I guess it's not fearless because it's best of one, but I don't think she's the best champion for AD carry, and she's losing a lot. So, kind of made sense, but I think teams are kind of slowly figuring it out. And then Jarvan's another one where I think the Jarvan nerfs he got a while back, where they nerfed his armor growth, actually ended up hurting him a lot more than it seemed on the surface because armor growth is really hard to feel, right? When you're playing him, it's early game is going to feel pretty similar, but what's happening is in every single team fight, he's just going in and dying immediately. He just explodes, and he's not able to get any of the like Sundered Sky value. He's not able to like disengage, re-engage, anything. He's just dying. So that's kind of my take on it, is that the armor per level nerfs he got are just like making him way too squishy in team fights.
I think, to be fair, there's been a lot of user error with the people that picked Jarvan a lot early in the tournament. And yeah, he is like a little bit squishier, but people were making some really questionable plays, and they were first picking him instead of usual spots where we usually see Jarvan like normal priority, is when you see immobile carries on the enemy team that your Cataclysm is going to be really good and have high value first, and then you pick it. So I do think that his priority was too high for like all the teams coming in with all these like first picks and stuff. Yeah, I still think he is good, but there are a lot of other junglers that are just as good as him. So I think the priority was just too high because like Wukong is extremely good in my opinion. Trundle's in. All these champs are also really, really good. And
especially
you just
in BO1, right? Like
you just pick it. Yeah, just pick it in a better spot. But the Trundle thing is something I 100% agree with for Sion, because I honestly don't care what your counter pick is. I would rather have the Sion on my team than like whatever you say, and unless you have a Trundle that is going to actually allow you to kill him. But like we've seen, like 369 had a really good Aatrox game, and like you get Aatrox and the Sion is fine. Or you could be like, well, I'm Cho'Gath, and I'm like, well, you're basically trying to do like a similar thing as Sion, but like maybe I'd probably still rather have the Sion. And then like
Cho'Gath's not a counter. I just think it's a solid answer, right? It's like a tank that scales alongside you, and it's really annoying to lane it against for Sion because you can cancel his Qs with your W and your Q. So it's just like he just kind of walks at you, and it's like it's really annoying for the lane because he can break your shields, he can cancel your Qs. So he's just annoying. Like it's not like I'm gonna kill this guy, It's more just like you have a scaling tank also.
Yeah, I mean, I like from playing pro, I can already hear the conversations in my head that I guarantee are going through these teams with something like Sion is it's always going to be the entire team and the coach being like, hey man, Sion looks really broken. Like we should be just be picking this. And then every top laner is like, no, it's not that good. I can pick anything into
I can
it.
counter
like,
this with
Ambessa. Yeah, like you'll lose the game against Sion. They have this like unkillable wall, and they're like, "Yeah, I had prio all game. You just push in, you couldn't do anything. I was up 10 CS in lane, and then I'd be sitting there like, yeah, and we could not fight anything. He was tanking our entire team. Like that was not fair. So I guarantee that like that kind of thing happens a lot with champions like that. So I think people do slowly pick up on it though when you start seeing these like ridiculous win rate outliers. The other one that has really been impressing me is the Qiyana jungle. It was something that we saw a little bit of, but it has looked so good every game. Even doing this like full lethality, completely squishy build, it just farms so quick. And I think that, with some of the nerfs, we've seen like people are still playing Pantheon, but that doesn't look fun. His clear speed's rough. And, a lot of these games, Qiyana's just ending up like the same level as solo laners, 1 to 2 levels up on the opponent jungler the whole time. So even though you're really squishy, just because you're so ahead in XP and your clear speed's so much faster, it doesn't end up being a problem.
Yeah.
So Qiyana's looked really strong.
I agree. Qiyana, I think, is really strong, but I think it's also one of those champions where it's like you can't always play it, right? Because people like just like mechanically aren't necessarily going to be good at Qiyana. Like I feel like it's one of those champions that takes quite a bit of practice to actually play it really, really well. And it's a pretty different play style than a lot of the standard junglers. So it's kind of like there's a lot of ADCs like that as well, where it's like, okay, Caitlyn's pretty good now, but a lot of ADs I don't think are actually comfortable playing Caitlyn, similar to Draven, similar to, champions like that. So I agree. I think it's really strong and has looked really, really strong for the people that are playing it. But I feel like if you come into Worlds and you weren't already good at Qiyana, you probably aren't going to pick up Qiyana for this, right? Kind of similar to those other picks I was mentioning, but it was interesting. There's been a lot of talk about the Anivia pick from Caps, which was like obviously a super strong answer to Rise, and Rise is getting blinded a lot. Anivia, I think. There obviously is mastery to the champion, but I do think it's like a lot more simple to pick up, and it's a lot more similar to champions that people will already be playing and have in their pool. So that's one that I think will be interesting in this second week. Like teams have a couple days off, they have a little bit of time to like retool and think about what you want to change going into this next round, because there's not games for 2-3 days. So I'm really excited to see like what that meta evolution is, because we're going to be in like all, best ofs and stuff. And it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, we had Inspired in Texas, Isaac. You weren't there for that episode, but I couldn't help but like try and talk to him about patch. And I was like, okay, you guys got to practice, prepare like Jack's jungle to have some flex Jacks. And you got to tell Quad to play Anivia. Because the Anivia buffs, I thought were going to be so big. I didn't even think about the Rise being so popular as a blind. But even like Anivia already had like a 54% win rate for solo queue, which of course at the time, most Anivia players have like played a lot of the champion. It's not like a super popular champion. So usually the people that play it have more games. And so like the win rate's a little bit higher. But it was already good and then got buffed. And then, is going to be really good as far as, the meta right now as well. So, yeah,
so
I
many
definitely
short-range
agree.
champs, like melee teams and stuff.
Yeah, and Anivia is way harder to int on than Qiyana. Like, we are seeing some Qiyana inters. Qiyana is way easier to int on. So if you're going to pick it up.
Okay,
Man.
if we want to talk about champions people are inting on, what the hell's going on with Rek'Sai? Because I thought it was cool people are playing Rek'Sai. Because I've actually been playing her a lot jungle. Like Rek'Sai seems really strong right now to me. Like some of the stronger she's been with just like the Emax Titanic Hydra thing. It's like you are so hard to kill, and you actually you're not really one-shotting people, but you're doing a lot of damage. Like if you have anyone else with you, you're killing them. But holy shit, these people playing Rek'Sai, they're first timing her or something. It's so bizarre. Like pretty much everyone except Flandre who has touched it has looked so completely lost. The TheShy against T1 at the end of the game was like the funniest thing. Like I gotta say that was such a great way to open up Worlds, that series. It was just so much fun. TheShy is an entertainer. I'm so sad we don't get to see more of him because every game he does not care at all about the result of the game. He's just going to do his thing. And sometimes he will just mercilessly run it down. And I have to wonder what it's like on that team, because it's just like,
you've never had one of those on your team? You have to wonder?
I haven't played with a player quite that,
good.
I don't even know how you call it, like, bold with what he's doing. Like, he just seems like so unapologetically running it down. It just like, and then on the final game, it's like, match point against T1. You need this for your world's dreams to be alive. Varus top, like into Nocturne. It's like, what do you think's gonna happen here?
Yeah, that was crazy.
So that was just incredible. I really wish we got to see more of them play. Like, it sucks only one of them could advance, but like obviously we need T1. So I thought it was some good fan service by IG, especially TheShy, because those games were just so entertaining.
Yeah,
it was
they
awesome.
were really entertaining. I mean, the funniest thing too is he was actually hard smurfing during the regular season for them, and had been really consistent, and like wasn't really having these run it down moments.
First team All Pro.
Yeah, first team All Pro, and like I thought he was playing really, really well. Like, it's like, holy shit, TheShy has actually evolved his game. And then in playoffs, he just started running it again. And then here at Worlds, like, yeah, I mean, the Varus top was some nasty work for sure for a final game.
I mean, I love that game when Rek'Sai do. It's just like, I'm watching the game, and this whole time I was thinking, like, wow, IG's doing such a good job of containing T1. It was like T1 could not walk in the river. They were just getting like chunked out by Qiyana. There was nothing they could do. And then they just went for that pick mid, and like Qiyana got the Guma sums, and then TheShy just sent it. He didn't even like tunnel in and threaten the flash. He flash tunneled in.
Yeah,
and I was just
over
like,
the Raptor pit.
That is a one-way trip. Yeah, that was insane. And granted, it's like, okay, yeah, his team didn't have to all in right afterwards. Like the Faker hit an insane shove and whatnot, but like that play is just like, you're slowly winning the game. You have them in this insane chokehold, and you just throw that thing like as hard as possible. So it was great to see. But yeah, I'm really surprised about Rek'Sai, because I don't think Rek'Sai is a difficult champion to play. Obviously, like, she doesn't have a whole lot of skill shots and whatnot, but I do think she's a champion that's like, you have to at least have a certain number of games, because she's kind of like unique to other champs. I think the thing that people struggle with a lot is I remember, writers use that metric of like, how many games it takes people to get to like a certain level of proficiency on a champion. And Rek'Sai is one that going from like 0 games to 50 games actually goes up a lot, because I think the underground vision is really hard to get used to when you haven't played her at all. So
I think
it's
really weird.
Right? Yeah, it's like, I can't see what's in front of me, like what's going on. In the tremor sense as well, it's like it's not like real time updated. There's kind of it pulses, and so it definitely takes a little bit of getting used to. And I think sometimes what happens with champs like that is people just kind of assume, they're like, yeah, it's Rek'Sai, it's easy, I'll just whip it out and do it. But some of the decisions we're seeing on this champion, like Doran fed his brains out. He just got solo killed by a Draven. He like walked up for one ranged minion and just died. And
Bin
like, all
took
the
a tunnel
fights
in
too,
tower aggro range and took 4 tower shots. And,
oh my god! I
got solo
how
killed
did I
by
not even think of
Gokla.
that? That one was so crazy. That was, I don't know if I've seen quite as hard of an int on any kind of stage. That was so funny. He just like, he went for the recall cancel, and he did in fact cancel the recall with his play. But
Like 4 tower shots
that wasn't all.
doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that was just goofy. I don't know. I think I don't think anyone except Flandre has really put enough time into this champion so far.
Yeah.
But it is fun to watch Rek'Sai, and I think the champion is strong. I think talking a little bit more about champion pools is the top lane one has been confusing me a lot, because obviously Sion looks really, really good, but the Cassante priority has surprised me a ton, because I'm a bit of a Cassante enjoyer myself. I think he's fun to play, but I think he's horrible right now. Like, I think he is incredibly weak.
It's 2-10, by the way, at Worlds.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised when I see that, and even just watch him in fights, because I think Cassante has this reputation where he's somewhat similar to Zoe in the sense that, like, when the champion does what they want to do, it feels kind of helpless for the other person because it's like, wow, I just got like knocked up and then knocked back and then pulled through a wall and then like he just one-shot me. But when you play Cassante, he is so clunky after all the nerfs he's gotten over the years. It's like he doesn't have the auto reset on his E. His W is like extremely slow. He's just a sluggish champion. He really struggles getting kited. Like you can't end all out early also. So like as soon as you press alt, you're just not a tank anymore. So I think the champion is kind of bad. I think the strengths of him is he's a stable pick, which is I think maybe why people are doing it.
I think comfort as well. People played it so much for the last couple of years, right?
Yeah, I mean, he's like strong in lane. His first recall, like just being able to come back with like a chain vest and kill people at level 6 is pretty good. His one item spike's pretty good. But I think after Iceborne, he falls off a cliff. I think he's like one of the worst scaling champs in the game. And like even people like Keen on Cassante, who's really good at the champion, aren't finding that much success. So
yeah,
I'm pretty shocked with it. I think that there's a lot better champions to pick. Like you said, Cho'Gath, I think could be good. I think
Ornn's been all right as well.
Yeah, Ornn's not bad. I think Renekton's another one too that, I don't really see a reason why people aren't playing him.
I thought we were going to see way more Rumble, honestly. I thought Rumble was going to be like one of those picks that is just getting blinded all the time and played a ton. But I have been a bit surprised that we've seen less Rumble, at least than I was expecting, especially with a lot of the junglers that we're seeing. It's like, if we're going to be seeing Jarvan all the time with this super high prio, why not more Rumble, right? Like Rumble can be so effective, in those combos. We even saw that today. We saw a Jarvan Rumble game that was looking nasty. And it's really great with Wukong. It's great with a lot of these like engaging team fighting junglers. So yeah, no, it's been a bit surprising to me too, but I do think we're going to see that evolution for some of these champions that are really struggling. Like Cassante's really been struggling. Jarvan, Kai'Sa, a lot of these champions, people I think are maybe going to be more intentional about where they're picking them, but it'll be interesting. The Mbessa matchup, I was just looking up some stats for Sion because we were talking about that earlier. Mbessa is down 6 CS, over 6 CS on average at 15 at Worlds of War. I mean, it's only a couple games, but it's just like you're picking this, like you're counter picking the Sion with an Mbessa, and then they're all just losing lane.
Well, it's not that counter pick's not for lane though. I mean, the counter pick is the dive past him later. The counter pick is for post one item Mbessa.
I just think it's so useless
I will
at all
say,
stages.
I've played this matchup a lot, and it feels very good to be Mbessa. Like, so the early game lane is actually like kind of whatever. Like Sion it's kind of just skill. Like I don't think either person's killing each other. You're just stacking grasp. But later on in the game, it's so unplayable for Sion just because of how Mbessa works. She's like her
That's
ulti,
every tank
right?
When she has Eclipse, you just can't lane one.
Exactly, because her ulti heals you based on the damage you do. She has % damage, so you're just like Sion literally can't do anything to you. You're just healing and shredding him. And so from the Sion's point of view, it feels bad. Like no player likes being in that situation where it's like, there's nothing I can do to beat this guy in a trade. Like I'm just going to be sitting under my turret and he's going to do whatever he wants.
But
like
you just
he can
one shot every
miss
wave,
every
and
single
then
skill.
You show up to a team fight with 6,000 HP.
Yeah, exactly. Pro players don't like playing that side of matchups, so I can tell you from experience, being around a lot of them. It's like it's not fun. It's not like everyone wants to be the Mbessa, right? No one wants to be the Sion, but obviously people want to win, so they'll do what works.
I think Kai'Sa also is kind of a symptom of dive comps in general are not that good. And she gets picked in most dive comps because she's the AD carry that goes really well in dive comps, of course. And we've had a lot of success of more like fortress style, like standard comps. I feel like a lot of these teams have been able to defend against dives really well so far, at least. And we saw, especially at the beginning of the tournament, a lot of Caitlyn priority at the very beginning, which has kind of then dropped off. But I think it's going to be so interesting once we get to Fearless because best of one drafts, and especially at the beginning of the tournament, are kind of all over the place. And so I'm really curious to see how the longer series of Fearless get to affect it. And even just, we're already seeing the changes in even just best of 3 with Fearless having the effect. So super looking forward to the development for the tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. So to talk a bit more about the matches, I mean, how have you guys been feeling about FlyQuest? Because like I said, I feel like a little bit unsure about them, just because, I mean, they had 2 really dominant wins, but it was against 2 of the weakest opponents. And then, you have this match against T1 where it's like it's just one best of one. It's hard to take that much from it, but they didn't like. I just feel like I haven't learned anything, right? Like I don't know how good they are at all at this event. And I'm kind of like defaulting to trust a bit because they've been so consistent regionally throughout the year, and they've been really good, internationally against most of the competition. They stomped G2 at MSI. They've been like really good against everyone below them, kind of, and competitive with the teams that are kind of ranked above them. But yeah, I just am kind of like struggling to know what my takeaway is from FlyQuest so far, based on the best of ones.
I mean, that's why I said they got such an easy draw. So I mean, like you said, we didn't get to learn very much because they re-stomped VKS. Like we literally learned nothing from that. And then like the 1 versus T1 after the invade on the blue buff, where Boostio dies and Inspired like emotes and walks away. It seems like that was like a tilt emote, where he was like, "Oh, great, you guys invaded us, pushed me out, and my support died." And then it just seemed like they were just like, "All right, whatever," and then they just kind of lost. So I'm hoping that they're obviously gonna still, really do us proud, and I think that they will. So it's not we don't really have any new data.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. I think I don't feel super confident in their ability to take on the best Eastern teams. Granted, I think that Fearless is going to be a lot different from Best of Ones. I think it is really hard to judge, especially with more. This feels more than normal as far as like teams just having really weird draft reads, where it almost feels like a lot of games are decided off draft, barring like massive skill discrepancies between teams, because it'll be like, that was like the team with Sion just won every single fight because no one could kill Sion. And it didn't exactly matter what the teams were doing that much in the game. But I think FlyQuest, like they've showed some good stuff. I think they have also shown some questionable stuff, like the game against Team Secret Whales, where they just like hard committed a 3v5, flashing in and stuff.
They got bored for sure.
They were really bored for that one. Yeah, that was definitely questionable, and it's probably not something you would see Gen G doing. Probably not something they needed to be doing. But obviously they won, so it's not the end of the world.
They still super stomped that game, but yeah, I agree.
They did.
It was really questionable.
Yeah, but I mean that's all we can really pull from, right? Because you just have to like try to break down the decision by decision that they make. And that was definitely a weird one.
You know what I was thinking when I watched that moment? So I don't know if you guys caught the interview with Masu. There was like it was kind of like his takeaways after they lost the T1. And Masu was basically saying he felt like he wasn't playing like to push advantages and to be aggressive enough. He felt like, okay, in the 2v2 against T1, they were just like ahead, and he was like, okay, that's good enough. Like it's T1, it's good enough. I'm a bit up. Like we'll just like get the push and I'll reset and I'll have some tempo to do something or whatever. And he said he felt like when he was reviewing the game and thinking back on the game that was like his mistake, and that he should have really played to actually try to play more aggressive and try to like push the limit more. And so I was kind of thinking about that interview when I was watching some of the stuff he was doing, like when he flashed in the Raptor pit and stuff against Secret Whales and whatnot. I was like, maybe this is him trying to put that in action, where he's like, all right, we're ahead, we're stomping them, like let's see what I can do, kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, it's always interesting, right? Like some of the AD carries I do think are playing pretty aggressive, and some of them are playing, much more just like, okay, I'm just like a cleanup bot, and I'm going to sit back and play kind of really defensive.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely want to be able to do both styles, or just you want to be able to do what your team needs. And I will say, though, I hope Masu doesn't overcorrect for this, because there's nothing more tilting than when your team plays for your AD carry and then they just throw it all away. Yeah, because, there's also the other side where you're just a complete KDA player. Like, when I was watching Fnatic's game today, I thought Upset in the final game in Ezreal was like super KDA playing. And even so much, so it's not a big thing, obviously. Like, I don't think the game wasn't his fault or whatever, but when they were losing the game and he was just sitting in the fountain, to me, I'm always like, that's just not a good look, man. It's like, even if the game is lost and there's nothing you can do, I feel like you just go in. Like,
Get out there and fake it.
right? It's like
upset
go down
memes?
fighting.
All the KDA memes.
No, I haven't.
I kind of thought you were gonna say him. Oh, okay, well, it's just like the most common meme. Everyone in chat is just always spamming. Enemy detected on screen. Upset KDA at risk. Retreat immediately and stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, I believe it because there was also that play where Vayne kind of made that super play when he got dove under the tier 1 and he managed to kill Rel. Like he stopped the Rel W with his condemn and then managed to kill Rel. But Upset absolutely could have just gone in and killed him there. And
he also missed his
maybe
Q, I think, when he got stunned by the Rel too.
Yeah. So I think there is that side of AD carry as well, where like maybe you're playing too safe. But then there's also Jackie Love, where there's was it G2? I think where he was playing Yunara and he just genuinely flashed into the tri-bush into 4 people and just sent it, which it was hype. Like it was pretty sick, but you did not need to do that, dude. Like flash on an AD carry is a pretty valuable resource. And so I think it's all about just understanding the game state, because I think that if you don't have all the resources and the rest of your team's really strong, then like sure, make space. If you can get them to use a bunch of summoners and ults and whatever and they kill you, but your team cleans up, great. But there's also games where there's an AD carry who gets like every single resource and you need them to be your late game carry and they just send it and die. And it's
You know who walks that line so well is Doggo. I feel like Doggo has been insane. Like his Corki game, I think it was, if I'm recalling the correct game. I think you were casting this one, Kobe, and you were talking about this, which I super agreed with, how he was just using his summoners like as a resource, right? And using his summoners to force out abilities and stuff like that. And it's like the other team has Maokai. Maokai can flash W. You're playing in his face, but if he does, you're just going to cleanse the root and then W back, and then the Maokai's dead for free, right? And so it was like, I felt like he was walking the line so well in that game. Also the Draven game, where it feels like when there is a good opportunity to go aggressive, he's really pushing the limit, but he wasn't ever seeming to like cross that line to where it becomes inting. And I just feel like he has been insane. Honkyu has been insane. CFO are just, they're super legit, right? Yeah, they're really, really good. I feel like people maybe get a little bit carried away with how they're talking about, oh, they're going to win worlds and this kind of stuff. But I think that they are at the very least, like they are in my mind in the same spot as FlyQuest is, where they have now shown them multiple times that they can challenge the Eastern teams and get close. They haven't been able to win that like big series yet, but I mean, they took T1 to 5 at MSI. They're pushing teams. They won a best of 1 here against T1. So they're clearly competitive with those teams. And it's just, can you now get across that line and like get into knockouts, win a best of 5, where then you really have to credit this team as a real contender. Because I feel like that's kind of the position that FlyQuest is in. That's kind of the position that they're in, where you keep talking about this team is close, they're really good, they have the talent, but like until you do it, you can't really get the credit for it, right? Like you have to actually do it. And it was the same thing that happened with TL, where TL was like almost beat T1, almost beat T1, almost beat T1, like had all these performances where like they could do it, but then they never did. And now the team is not the same roster anymore. So it's like you really have to capitalize on your chances, because you just don't get that many against these top LCK LPL teams.
Definitely. And I like that you mentioned CFO, because I think that Draven game Doggo had was the best Draven game I think I've ever seen in pro play, because
I agree.
That was unreal. Because we see Draven every once in a while, and I'm not a fan of Draven in general. I think he's like, this solo queue champion that you just prey on like auto-filled people, right? It's like, or if you're a Smurf, you just run the game over. But as far as pro play, I think he's not a very good AD carry, because he's low range. Obviously, if you lose all your stacks, it's a big problem. But even in games where Draven gets a cash out, he sometimes just struggles to do anything, because he's got move speed from his W, but catching the axes in a fight while everyone's trying to kill you can be kind of tricky. And even if you do that, he's just like, he doesn't have the range to really do what he needs to do. But I thought Doggo played it so well. It's clear he has a lot of mastery on the champion. He was able to like get a lot of advantages, and he did that build, which I had. This is the first time I've seen it in game, but I've heard people doing it, where you go like Bloodthirster into the
Hexplate.
Yeah, which kind of fills that role of him of like, being too squishy and not being able to catch people, which is kind of interesting because you don't really think of Draven starting the fight by just throwing his ult like that. But it ended up working really well, and he didn't even die that game while having pressure. So I was super impressed because it was against T1 as well. It's not like he was playing against some team that you're just going to like run over with Draven. He was literally playing against the defending world champions. So I thought that was super sick to see from CFO.
Yeah.
I still, for the life of me, this whole year, I don't understand their top lane situation because it seemed like Driver looks really good on the team.
Driver
but
seems way
then
better.
against who's better?
I think Driver's way better.
Yeah, that's how it seems to me as well. But then against AL, they started with rest, and they just kept resting the entire series, which I didn't really understand. I assume they have reasons for it, but yeah, it's just really weird from the outside seeing that because you would think at some point they would just kind of be like, all right, we're going to use this guy. And yeah, they haven't really done that.
That was the first time all split, by the way, that they've kept rest in for all consecutive games for a series. So that was a kind of like new thing as well. And they have had so much success actually swapping them. They've actually only found wins at the tournament with Sion so far. And the other couple games with the Rumble and with the Renekton as well. And so people are starting to question that aspect of the team. I do think, though, that CFO are also very smart in how they played the game. Like, their preparation for playing versus T1, I thought was so good. All the way from their bans into their level 1, where they did the, Draven is going to stay top, and we're using him as a bully, not just a lane swap to get away from bot lane matchup, but actually to bully the top lane Rek'Sai. And then the way that they transitioned into their side lane play too. So I think CFO are really smart as well. I think their coaching staff is quite good on top of it. But yeah, I
didn't notice they've only won with Sion. Hold up. Maybe we got to pump the brakes on this one because, dude, I don't know. Everybody's winning with this champion. I feel like other things in the game don't matter as much as just having Sion. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I really think as soon as Fearless, like BO3, BO5 start up, it's going to look a lot different than these BO1s just because, like, people will have a better understanding of what's good, but then also there's going to be a lot more limitations on your draft, so you're not going to always have these, like, situations.
The Sion thing is interesting because when I was thinking for game 1, when I was watching CFO versus AL, and they played Rest in game 1, I was actually thinking that they played Rest to get Sion, even though Driver is the Sion guy, because I was like, they just won back-to-back games with Sion. Driver looked giga strong on Sion. If they're playing Driver, they wouldn't get Sion. So I thought that they were just going to play Rest to see if Sion was unbanned, play Sion, and then I thought they would just put Driver back in. Because usually when I watch them, every time I see Rest play, they just look worse. Like, I just am not that impressed by Rest. I do think he played pretty well for sure in the AL series, but in general, internationally, I just always feel like Driver looks a lot stronger. But they are, I mean, if they're that dependent on Sion, we don't really know, right? Because they haven't had to actually play much without it. That definitely could be an issue, especially since they're in best of 3s now, and they're going up against really good teams, right? Like their next match is against HLE, which is obviously going to be really hard. Teams are going to be prepping their pick ban for this. But we will talk more about these advancement and knockout matches. But before that, we're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be right back.
Ready, set, go!
I'm at 47%.
Oh, I'm on 63%.
Man, I'm at 50%. Boom! 80%. Winner!
The Kia EV9 can go from 10% charge to 80% charge in just 24 minutes with DC fast charging.
Welcome back to The Dive, driven by Kia. We are still talking more about Worlds. We were just talking about HLE CFO is a match that's going to come up. Maybe we can start talking about some of these upcoming matches, unless you guys want to touch on some of the eliminated teams or anything. But the 2-1 matches all seem pretty spicy. We have G2 Fly, we have Gen G TES, and then HLE CFO.
I mean, we got to start with G2 Fly. This is the dream matchup. I think we all wanted this. All Europeans, as well as all the North Americans, everybody wants to fight each other. Because I've seen a lot of the the G2 fans have been like, well, you guys haven't beat an LPL or LCK team, stop talking trash. But then all the NA fans are like, well, we beat you at MSI. And so now we actually get the rematch. And it is so coming into the tournament, I was definitely on the train of G2 are looking way better than they did at MSI. I actually think they are better now than they were at MSI, so it's going to be harder for us. Lebrav and Scumange both seem like they have meshed better with the team with the extra time, so that is good. But then, the games that they had here didn't inspire a ton of confidence until the most recent one where they did the Anivia pick. I did think that Shadow on BLG definitely had some pretty rough plays from the BLG side that made it easier for
Shadow
G2.
helping his European brethren out.
But yeah,
the Qiyana ult in that river fight straight into the Brahmi.
That was crazy. And then he jumped over and insta-died for the other fight. And so then they didn't even have the other fight. But for the same thing, to be fair, FlyQuest have had a really easy route. And again, they haven't proven anything at this Worlds either. So this rematch is really hyped to me because we haven't had really good data on either of these two teams so far here. And so I'll just go with the default then of how they matched up last time and say we are favored with FlyQuest defeating them last time at MSI.
I don't know if I'm the exception to the rule, but I was actually kind of hoping that they wouldn't get G2. I kind of wanted them to play one of the LPL or LCK teams or even CFO because I do think that they can beat those teams, and I want to see more series, right? They've shown that they've gotten really close a number of times now, at MSI, at Worlds. They've pushed these teams to the brink, and it's even if we smack G2 again, Last time I saw the record, I don't know what it's updated in. I don't know if it was before or after the G2 Fly series at MSI, but it was 13-3 NA versus EU over the last couple of years. It's you're never going to get the credit, as far as the EU teams EU people are never going to be yeah, you're right. NA just runs us. We're so trash. You're never going to get that satisfaction more than we already have, right? It's we have been running them for years. And so in my mind, it's even if we beat them, you still won't get that credit. They're yeah, well, they just had an easy run. They didn't have to beat any Eastern teams. You know what I mean? It's
but you're facing Eastern team in quarters though.
Yeah, but then you only get one shot. Whereas now we have two shots, right? And then you could also play again in knockouts. So in my mind, if they drew an HLE or a Gen G or something, it's you get to play, and even if you lose, you still get another shot. And maybe you get to play another LPL or LCK team. And then if you win, you get to play another one. You know what I mean? And so it's at this point, I just want to see what this team can do. Especially, there's people rumors and stuff oh, is Inspire going to stay with the team? Is he going to go back to EU? There's been interviews where he says, he wants to win in EU at some point in his career, but he's not sure, when that's going to be, blah, blah, blah. There's FlyQuest is great, but there's other great teams. So it's I just know I had the same feelings I had about FlyQuest now about TL in the past, and we never got to see it from TL. And so I have that feeling of rosters don't usually stay together that long. Time may be running out, right? I want to see what they can accomplish. I believe that they can beat those teams. So I really want to get to see the opportunity. Not that it's not cool if you beat G2. Not that I'm not going to be popping off if they do. I'm going to be really excited, but I don't know, maybe this sounds like BM or whatever, but it's they've done that. I'm not saying they can't lose because they could definitely lose, but they've shown that they can beat the European teams. They're mostly smacking them. And all the NA teams have been for the last while. So I kind of want to see that next step and see if they could beat an LPL or LCK team. So that's kind of the draw I was hoping for.
Yeah, I don't know how I feel about it. Obviously, if FlyQuest wins, then it's great because what's better than flaming EU fans based on the recent matches, and I think it's just been a fun rivalry. Because when you were saying that EU fans aren't going to give us credit, part of me is like, yeah, that's okay. It's a rivalry. I wouldn't give them credit even if they won either, because like it's just fun to talk smack about it for whatever reason. So it will be a lot of fun to watch, and hopefully they win so we get more bragging rights, because like it's just too much fun flaming Europe. But I do agree with wanting to measure up to the Eastern teams, because that's kind of like the main quest we're looking for, where it kind of feels out of reach. It's been a while since NA has made like a really solid run. FlyQuest has looked pretty good. Like they've gotten super, super close.
In the last year at Worlds, we made quarters and we pushed Gen G to 5, right? Like, so it's like they were on the precipice, and that was the team that was supposed to be, best in the world at that time.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they've made great progress. It's definitely the team that we put our hopes in. So it's, for me, international results is always like, we want to get as far as we can. We want to beat the Eastern teams, but that's pretty hard. And if we can't do that, then at least let's beat Europe. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, I'm definitely still excited for it. Don't get me wrong, but that was, I think, one where maybe I am the exception and was kind of like hoping for a different draw. But that being said, it's going to be interesting because I feel like we haven't seen that much from Fly yet. I still kind of am of the opinion that they are a more solid team. I feel like in general, I think we're a lot better in the jungle. I think BB, these last couple of internationals, like he did have that really good Poppy game, but these last couple of internationals, he has not looked very good. And I think the top laners in Europe in general are extremely weak. Like Oscar Innen, I think, is not good at all. I think they just kind of seem to really struggle. Mirwin, I don't think, is very good. I just think the competition in Europe in top lane is really quite weak. So, and Whippo can be up or down, but I think on average, like I favor our top side pretty heavily. I think we have a better bot lane. Like I think the only place I favor G2 is mid lane. It's not that like our players are so much better that we can't lose. I don't think that's the case at all. I think G2 rather has some really good drafts. Like they're drafting against PLG. Like I said, I feel like they completely headshot them. You're playing like Qiyana and like all these dash champs into like Poppy, Braum, and Nivea. Like how are you ever going to play? So I'm definitely scared of their drafting. I'm scared of Caps' X Factor. And I mean, if their players are playing at their best, they could absolutely beat us. But I still feel pretty good about FlyQuest chances for sure.
Poppy, like you mentioned, I think she's another one of those insane champs. Like, I honestly can't tell you the last time I saw a Poppy game where that champ did not look completely insane.
Yeah.
Most of the time, it feels like Poppy's just winning the game on her own when it comes to team fights, because it's the W and it's the ulti. And something I was trying to look at today was, I feel like this tournament and in recent times, people have been getting so much value out of the Poppy ultimate. And honestly, I feel like it's not that easy to do that, where you hit somebody as the fight starts who's not, the guy you're focusing. And we've just been seeing that so many times, like every single Poppy game. A team fight starts
out.
Yeah, it's like you just instantly win the fight. And if that Poppy's support, then wow, is support immediately winning the fight? That's pretty good. Or we've seen a lot of fights where a Kai'Sa tries ulting in and Poppy, W, Kai'Sa's grounded and then you stun her into the wall and she's dead. So that champion has looked absolutely insane to me. I think that's definitely one of the maybe underrated champs, because a lot of the meta picks these days, like they have dashes, or if a champion doesn't have dashes, then they can't dodge your ult very easily. So I am expecting to see more Poppy. I guess she does get banned a lot, but I think I'm just kind of surprised that some games Poppy doesn't get picked when she's available in favor of some other stuff that doesn't look that good.
What have you thought about FlyQuest drafts, Kobe? Did you like when they were doing the kind of just like full scaling stuff against TSW and whatnot? Because it felt like they're just kind of saying, okay, we're gonna scale and then we're gonna out team fight you. I don't know if I really want to see them go like that, kind of inactive, I guess, in the early game, or if they are going to pick those scaling elements, I kind of want to see them at least have like Busio on a playmaker, because to me, Busio has actually been their best performer so far at Worlds.
That draft actually is 100% what I expected them to do. versus Team Secret Wells because they're so well accustomed to handling early aggressive teams, and that's pretty much just the MO for Secret Whales and what they've done entire split. So when I saw that, I felt pretty secure. And when FlyQuest have done scaling comps, they haven't done the do nothing and lose strategy. They do nothing for the first couple of dragons and grubs sometimes, and then they beat you in the team fights on their item power spikes. So it's actually just like, I think, correct play, and I think correct like drafting strategy against that team specifically as well. So I was actually pretty happy to see that one, especially after their T1 game, because the T1 game did shake me a little bit, and I was like, are some cracks showing? Are we gonna have some more stuff to worry about at the tournament? And so I was pretty happy to see them play out just another methodical, controlled game. Even though, like, seeing that plus them play VKS again was like really underwhelming and, not super hype at all for either of our FlyQuest, other two FlyQuest
Would you be
games
happy
so
if
far.
they team against G2?
I can't hear you. What'd you say?
Would you be happy if they drafted the same against G2?
If they were able to play it out the same way, and G2 had a bunch of like early skirmishing champions and stuff too, then yeah, I think so. I mean, those are just strong champions, right? They had Azir and they had Sion. Like those are just mega champions in the meta right now. I think for pretty good reason. Like what we were kind of talking about earlier, I feel like dive comps are fairly hard to pull off, and we're seeing a bit of fall off of a lot of different dive comps in general. And so I think it is a pretty good response. I would be sad if I see them do nothing and lose, of course. But I just don't think that they will do that. When they do draft scaling, they draft enough good like early lanes or good opportunities for themselves so that it's not like 3 losing lanes and losing jungle and you just can't do anything. So I think they'll avoid that pitfall. Plus, when we get closer and we're getting into best of series now, then they're gonna have very deep, fearless strategies. I feel like for this team, Inspired always talks about all these different champions and stuff that they do want to use. So I'm very confident in FlyQuest drafting. Yes, they have a couple of caveats. You have to work around Quad's champion pool and Bwipo's champion pool a bit. With Bwipo, not the Gwen's not really a problem anymore because Gwen got nerfed and people seem to have just completely dropped prio on Gwen. So it's just really like the Jax for Bwipo as far as the super meta ones, and then Quad
Doesn't play much Rumble, I guess, either.
Yeah, the Rumble, and then Quad is like okay. Not as much with the aggressive like melee mid lanes and much more control mages, but that doesn't seem like a problem yet.
I'm scared for Quad in best of fives. Like both the best of fives that they win 5 games against LPL LCK. Game 5 was him getting turbo stomped in a bad matchup, right?
Yeah. So if they go 5 versus G2, if they go 5 versus Caps, then that could definitely be an issue. So yeah, there you go. So we don't have to go that deep.
If we went 5 versus Caps.
It would be crazy. Yeah.
2 remakes, 2 chrono breaks.
Yeah, we're gonna 5-0 them in a best of 3.
Dude, talking about the mid lane pool, I guess that's the role we didn't talk a whole lot about so far this tournament, but I've been really surprised at the amount of mid bans there's been in BO1s. If you look at the bans, it's like at least half the bans every single game are mid lanes. It's Orianna's been banned most games, Azir's been banned most games. Yeah, and even other mids like Aurora, LeBlanc, so and then Rise has been getting early picked. So I still think the mid lane priority is kind of up in the air. I think that we're in a spot where for such a long time it's been like Azir, Talia, and then they've just been nerfed to the ground, and then it's Orianna. She got nerfed coming into this patch. And so I think mid lane is still kind of up in the air for what's going to be good. I think there's people are still playing those champions from before. I think there's some new ones coming in too, like the Anivia you touched on. Could be really good. good in solo queue. I think LeBlanc is pretty good as well. She's gotten some buffs. I'm still a big fan of Aurora. Yeah. So we haven't seen any Silas, which is kind of surprising because he was doing really, really well in playoffs before. There's also
especially
Annie,
with all the
got
Alistar
nerfed.
that's getting played.
Yeah. So I'm really interested to see how it develops for mid lane specifically because I just don't know. You know, there's so many bans, and then even Talia has not been doing well at all. Like I think she's 3-9 or something. Like she's losing a lot.
4-7.
Not quite 3-9, but still a lot of losses.
Yeah.
I think Rise has a similar win rate as well. So, I mean, we're gonna have to see.
Good. Aurora and Ori are winning like every game. Victor won both the games played. LeBlanc won both the games they played. LeBlanc, I super agree. I think LeBlanc actually looks really strong as an answer into a lot of these picks. But it's like, again, if you're not a nasty LeBlanc, LeBlanc is trash, right? Like it's one of those picks where it's like you don't have 500 LeBlanc games. Sorry, brother, you're not picking it up for Worlds. Like there's just no way. You'll just be terrible. So. It'll be interesting, definitely, but mostly it's just been control mages with like Aurora and then a couple little things splashed in, like 2 games of LeBlanc, a couple games of Galio, 1 game of Cassidon, 2 games of Kali. Like there's been some.
Oh my God, Cassidon. You don't even know. I was freaking out watching that Cassidon lock in. It was like, I think JoJo was just having fun. I think they knew they won and they were just giving him a freebie because so I will say I'm really biased against Cassidon. I'm a bit of a Cassidon hater, but just watch that game and tell me that's a champion worth picking. It's just like you have 0 early game prio, and even late game when he was level 16 and he was getting his items, the champion does no damage. He like couldn't get through the 80 carries barrier with his like flash ult full combo. When I saw it, I'm just like, what are we doing? Like we're not picking Cassidon in a game we're trying to win. Like that was so crazy to me. I literally could not believe they picked that.
He picks it pretty frequently though, and so they do definitely want to use it as a weapon. But I'm generally one of, especially like I feel like solo queue junglers all hate Cassidons and Kales and stuff like that because it's not fun to play with. But we should get into the rest of these matchups because they have all been picked and there's quite a few here. So let's we could go that. I was going to go down the schedule, but yeah, Gen GTS is hype.
Oh yeah, I was just looking at the bracket that Lolly Sports posted. Gen GTS I think should be really, really fun. Gen G, I do think it was. I mean, AL has taken games off them. Obviously, they've had back and forth and stuff. So them losing a best of 1 is not that surprising. But still, like the teams that were in the 2-0 group, I think were not what most people were predicting. I don't know what you guys predicted for pick'ems, but like almost everyone I know had Gen G as the 3-0 team, right? Like almost everyone. So Gen G, I think, is going to be really hard. I feel like, especially coming off of that T1 game where they absolutely blasted T1. This team is looking pretty locked in. So I think it's going to be hard for TES. There might be a little bit of a heartbreak here, possible run for TES, because it's like KTTES was a really good opportunity for both these teams. Both these teams are kind of like expected to not, do as much, I feel like. And now the fact that they weren't able to beat KT, they got smacked there. Now they're playing against Gen G. I feel like this could be an absolute stomp.
Yeah, I don't think TES have a very good chance here. They looked really bad. The first game versus KT, when they have their normal TES getting early game lead, and then they just lost every single team fight. Cream could not engage for the life of him on the Annie, and Hung's Nico as well. They whiffed he whiffed probably 1,000 Nico engages in that. They could not get a single good engage, and so they just lost fight after fight after fight after fight and lost the entire game, just like that. And so I got pretty worried. Of course, everyone is traumatized from top esports and KT just organizations at international events. For choking or failing at some point. And so people just kind of feel like another one is going to happen again. And especially playing versus Gen G with the form that they did show, like you said, versus T1, which was also a really good draft, but also really good form in game 2. You know, it's not like anyone is trying to cop out with just it was a draft thing or anything. So yeah, TES are looking like they should have a pretty difficult time.
Yeah.
Chovy versus Cream mid lane should be pretty big. Chovy advantage, of course. And I love Konavi. I am a huge Konavi fan. I think this guy is crazy good on carry jungles, especially. But I think it is going to be a pretty rough one overall, especially because Jackie, like Meteos was pointing out at the beginning of the episode, has been doing some of the
things.
Brushing with inting type plays, but it didn't matter in some of them because they still won the game. But it's like, if you have seen him get caught at really bad times, and if you ever get caught at a really bad time, versus Genji, then they'll probably like win the game off it.
I mean, TES, I just feel like it'd be the most TES thing ever. Like they start with pretty easy draw for like 4 Eastern teams. And the G2 is obviously a good team, but they beat G2. It's a Western team. Then they got 100 Thieves, beat another Western team. Then they get 2-0'd by KT. Then they draw Gen G. They could easily get 2-0'd here. And then both BLG and 100 Thieves, let's be honest, BLG and T1 are favored from the 1-2. And so they could meet either of those teams in the 2-2 and then go from first team to 2-0 to out, like very easily. So I definitely think, whether or not they can beat Gen G, I don't expect that, but like they need to be pretty locked in because there are some really tough teams coming from the bottom. Like there's everyone in the 2-2 round is going to want probably the winner of MKOI and Secret Whales. Assuming everything goes to chalk, and you expect BLG and T1 to win. Those are terrifying teams to play for your world's life on the line. So I feel like TES has got to be sweating a bit. No one wanted to get Gen G in the 2-1 match. That's who everyone is trying to dodge, I feel like. So drawing them is kind of like, well, we got another try at 2-2, boys. But if you get stomped by KT, stomped by Gen G, and then go into it and you've lost like 4 in a row, that's tough for the mental.
Yeah, I mean, Gen G might still have their Worlds debuff because as good as they are, they still haven't really won a World Championship, and they've had some like monumental chokes at Worlds. So that's the thing that I'm most interested in seeing is like, can they deliver on what everyone expects? Because regardless of how they've done in the past, I still feel like the vast majority of people this Worlds are favoring Gen G to win the entire thing, right? Like it's hard to say that another team is objectively better than them because of how well they've done. So I definitely have my eye on that as far as, like, will they choke or not?
Yeah. I mean, I think if Gen G chokes, it's like choking for their expectations, which is winning Worlds, right? Like, I don't see a world in which Gen G does not advance from Swiss. I would be absolutely shocked if Gen G did not make semis. But then it's like, yeah, the teams are so good, the pressure gets so high that, yeah, Gen G might not live up to the expectations there. But I personally can't imagine them losing a top. I just can't see it, at least not right here. The last one in the 2-1 bracket is HLE CFO. This one I think is going to be really, really fun. CFO was quite competitive with AL. They won the best of one against T1. Again, this is kind of like the situation for Fly where I'm like, this is an opportunity that they have to be able to try to take down an LCK team and really prove that they can do that in a series, right? That's more than a best of one. Because I feel like they really are on that level. And yeah, their young carries just completely blown me away. I mean, Honkyu is insane. Doggo's obviously been around for a while now, but still quite young. And those two, I think, are like the clear stars of the team and are really showing themselves to be like elite Worlds level, right? Like these guys are insane, especially for Honkyu. He has like no experience, right? And this guy is just looking nuts.
Yeah, he's looking so much better, so much more confident than MSI. But the matchup that I'm most looking forward to is Doggo versus Viper. Viper Life Esports, with how Doggo has been playing. And with that game where Viper got so fed on Kaisa.
11 kills and then lost.
And then they still couldn't win. I was like, oh my God, what is happening? But this matchup, it should be super hype. CFO, they were at all of the international or have gone to all of the internationals this year. They're the only team that has. And HLE were at first stand as well, and CFO were looking pretty good there, and taking some games and taking some series themselves. So I'm definitely looking forward to this one. I want to see how far this CFO legend can be built up this year, because they really do have all of this underdog momentum really built up. Feels like in games where fans own region is not directly playing versus CFO, then everybody is like jumping on CFO bandwagon, and wants to support them as like their second team, and so I really want to see how far they can actually take it.
It's really funny too, looking back now seeing the records of a lot of these champs through the first week, and Hanwha in their first game that they lost against AL had Cassante, that's like 2-10. Jarvan, that's what I don't know. It's won a couple games now. What, like 2-10, 2-9, something like that. And Kaisa. So they had the Avengers of losing games. So maybe they can just at this point retroactively just blame the draft.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's what it is, right? It's like you don't feel it, but then when you're in the game, it's just the plays you're going for aren't working, and you're like, there's always infinite number of things going on, like, oh, we should have done this, we should have done this, exactly. But it's like, at the end of the day, better champs give you more options, and more of the things you try would work. So yeah, I mean,
Doctor Strange is looking at all the possibilities, and every single one of them you lose.
Yeah, especially with champs like that, because that's actually hilarious. Just the Exodia of like losing champions, and then the fact that they almost won with that goes to show like they're a really good team. They've got some really good players, and they nearly pulled it out, but it's just couldn't quite get there. So yeah, it's going to be an awesome match. I think that's really one to look forward to, because I'm absolutely a fan of CFO. I think they give me a lot of TPA vibes, and that's so long ago now.
World champs.
I'm sure a lot of League fans don't remember TPA, but yeah, it was like season 2. It was
toys and stuff.
Yeah, toys. I mean, they were like the Southeast Asian team who was just like they're not LCK or LPL, and they were beating them, right? So that's always crazy to see. It's just like, wait, they don't even play in the same league. Like, how can they get that good? And maybe they play on like the Korean solo queue, or they scrim against these teams.
CFO gets scrims against the top LPL teams now. I had heard that like last year and going into MSI and stuff, the team, like some of the LCP teams were getting some scrims against the bottom LPL teams, but CFO has kind of like proven themselves at MSI, and they started getting scrims against better and better teams, and so now their scrim group is apparently just the top LPL teams. So it's like at that point they are gonna keep getting better, right? Like you have incredible practice partners.
Yeah. I mean, it's super cool. Young team and a lot of promise. I still wonder what they're doing with their top lane situation. That's definitely something that only time's going to tell. I don't think anyone outside the team really knows.
Especially against Zeus. That's like really tough.
Oh, yeah.
So I did talk to Vestion, who's Cass LCP, and he was of the opinion that for regionally, he wouldn't necessarily say that one was better than the other. Even though at like first stand and at some of the internationals, you can definitely have your preference, and I think a lot of people do have driver as their preference. Both of them have like put in off-season work and stuff to make their champion pools like converge and kind of overlap, so they'd be more robust for best of 5 fearless and stuff like that. And I know people talk about as well, like driver's mentality. Maybe he doesn't always have 100% confidence, sometimes. So
he's dubbed himself out in the series and stuff.
Yeah, there was that one time. So yeah, so it could be any number of those things.
Yeah, it is. It's also interesting because I know like Molecule was talking to us about LCP and CFO, and he was saying one of the issues that this team faces in in best ofs is that they are so predictable based on the top laners that they're playing. Like teams just kind of know what style they're going to play and just pre-ban it, right? So it's like, as much as people talk about this 6-man roster, oh, it's so advantageous. You have 2 guys who can play different things. It's like, yeah, but they know what they're playing and they both have more limited champion pools than someone who's just flexible like Zeus that they're literally playing against. So, I think it is really tough. Like I expect that HLE, if they're blue side, will probably just take away the Sion, right? Like they'll just probably play the Sion or it's going to get banned. And I think, when that stuff starts to happen, then it gets a little bit more difficult. Like a lot of the tanks below that are worse. And I just feel like it's so hard then to be going up against Zeus in some of these carry matchups as well, when like he is one of those really flexible players who can kind of play both sides. So it definitely would take a pretty big performance, I think, from Driver or Rest or both for them to be able to win this series, but should be a banger. Some good 1-2 matches as well. Some of them are looking pretty one-sided, I will say, but should be still exciting. We have BLG versus VKS, MKOI versus Secret Whales, and then 100 Thieves is playing T1.
They do feel a bit one-sided.
Yeah.
I would let's start with the BLG VKS one though, because BLG, even though they're number 1 seed from LPL, they have legit just looked so bad in some of these games on whenever they like approach an objective that a team has set up on. We were already talking about the Shadow on Qiyana one, like that. Those ones were just kind of crazy. But their first game with base one was terrible as well. And so you're thinking, well, I guess they put Beishuan back in just because the actual action of swapping has been good for them, and they like keep on swapping and renewing whatever like mental buff that they get.
Honeymoon phase.
Yeah. So and I guess like in a best of 3, then they have more opportunities. Like they can just maybe start Beishuan again and then swap again. But this one to me is, even though a lot of these do feel one-sided, I thought VKS looked really good in the series that we just ended the day on today versus PSG. Trimby and Miru especially looked really good. Trimby's Alistar one, where he went for that re-engage with the headbutt pull flash, and then all these most of his Alistar game. The following game was also pretty good from him. And Miru is just actually on one. Every time this guy pulls out a Kali, especially, I feel like it is so clean. I have a lot of faith in him. Of course, again, I think BLG should still be favored, and I do favor them, and I'll predict them. Miru's going up against Knight, so it's good luck there. But BLG have shown some cracks here at the tournament that makes it a little more fun to discuss than maybe you would think from just names. Right?
I mean, they lost 100 Thieves and VKS beat 100 Thieves, so there's like some cope there, right?
There you go.
And both their losses are to Western teams. They lost to G2 and 100 Thieves, so you definitely wouldn't be expecting that from the number 1 LPL team. I do think VKS played well. I'm glad that they actually got to show some of what I think we had seen from them in the LTA playoffs, and some of what I think we've seen from CB LOL, as far as their improvements throughout the year. And they got to show like a really competitive series. They got to show what they can do. Took down PSG, which was really cool. But at the end of the day, I mean, this is going to be a really big challenge. I think this would be like the biggest upset of all time if they actually beat them in a series. If CBLOL team knocks out LPL number 1 from World Swiss Stage, I think that's the biggest upset ever. Period.
Yeah.
So I'm rooting for them. I think it would be a really cool story, but I don't really see it happening. I think Trimby was great today. I think Miru was great today, but they have had like the easiest possible draw pretty much the whole way through, and against Secret Whales, who I think is one of the easiest teams that you could get, they really kind of struggled against them. They got absolutely blasted by Fly. They were able to take down PSG and show their class there, which is great. But I think that BLG's kind of a step above, and it's not even a best of 1, right? You have to be able to actually beat them in a series, which I think is going to be super, super hard. I'm kind of curious, do you guys think the MKOI series is heavily favored one way or the other?
That's definitely going to be the closest of the 1-2s, and I don't really know what to make of either of these teams. From what we've seen, very inconsistent, I would say. I think that
I feel like Koi are consistent. That throw.
yeah, maybe they're not consistent in the ways you might want to be. But yeah, I'm not really sure which way to call this one because I don't know. I mean, MKOI, when they weren't playing Kasten, looked pretty solid, but maybe Kasten comes out again. He's open in the next Fearless series.
I mean, I would definitely still call it for MKOI. I mean, the FlyQuest absolutely demolished Team Secret Whales. I guess that one took a lot of my confidence away from them. Yeah, I mean, MKOI are definitely not FlyQuest, but I would still at least
they were
against
them as Sion.
Favorite.
It was a Sion game. It's nullified. Wasn't their fault.
True.
Yeah,
True.
I mean, I think they're favored, but I do still think it's the closest one out of these. Yeah. I mean, which makes it more interesting. I mean, MKOI has had a very, very easy draw. They got double European teams and then Secret Whales.
Doesn't get easier than that.
Doesn't get easier than that. So I do think that they actually have a really good opportunity to get into 2-2. It's like you could be in the 2-2 match, have a chance to advance by beating Fnatic and Secret Whales, right? Who are like, I don't know, is Fnatic the worst team at the tournament? I would say so. I think Fnatic's the worst team at Worlds for sure. Like they look completely hopeless. And Secret Whales beat VKS, but like VKS also didn't even play well in that one and had an early game advantage and kind of threw it. So yeah, I do think these are two of the easiest teams. I think MKOI should be favored, but I do think MKOI has shown a lot of inconsistency. I mean, to me, the Fnatic series was just their jungle support. I think worked together so much better than Fnatic jungle support. Like they seem way more coordinated. But I do think that like you see even in those series, some of these things where it's just like these overstays and over chases where it's like you win out on a fight and then you go for an invade randomly off of it instead of resetting, and then the other team just does the same thing back. And MKOI has thrown a lot of games, so I think they are the favorite, but I do think you have to be careful against any Worlds caliber team. If you're making too many mistakes, these teams are good enough that they can get some things done. Secret Whales is like pretty inexperienced and has a lot of young players, but I do think mechanically they're pretty good. I just think they seem to really struggle with their setups and they seem to struggle with like what to do in the game, which I think can make them really have a hard time against top teams.
I just thought Dyer looked so bad versus FlyQuest. It is not a good look when the Aurora. Do you remember when he was staring down the lane with Sion in front of him, Whipple in front of him? Okay, Meteos, it is a Sion.
Oh yeah,
Turbo OP. I accept.
Yeah.
But he's literally staring down the lane.
It was pretty bad.
Thinking about the banger solo kill by Whippo.
Yeah, he's staring down the lane. He's like, my minions are dying over there, and then he tries to like walk past him. It just gets clobbered. I was like, oh my goodness, what is happening? To be fair, this team they're literally the youngest team at the entire tournament.
Yeah.
And have two of the youngest players at the entire tournament with Hitso and Dyer. So yes, it is like a definitely a youthful, exuberant team, and they will definitely fistfight you, and they'll definitely fistfight MKOI. So they for sure could beat MKOI.
Yeah. I mean, I think Team Secret Whale is definitely the team I know the least amount about, and from what we've seen so far, hasn't really been working out for them. So we'll have to see if they can take out MKOI. But I wouldn't really expect either of these teams to make it far. Like, I don't know if I'd say either of them would get out of Swiss. They feel kind of like some of the next to go, if you will. But I don't know. I mean, people can scale up. They can figure out the meta. They can come up with some good drafts, and anything could happen.
Yeah, and I mean the reality is it's like for MKOI, I do think they have the propensity to throw a lot. They do have some real weaknesses, but when they are on, I do think they're quite a strong team, and they have a lot of talent. Like I think their high end is quite high. And that being said, it's like you've kind of been gifted two of the easiest possible teams. You get yourself into the 2-2 bracket. you just have to have 2 good games and then you're in quarterfinals, right? So it's like there definitely is that possibility of being able to get out. And they found themselves in a pretty good position because of that draw. 100 Thieves versus T1, that is the last scheduled matchup. I know we talked about it at the start, but man, I just feel bad for 100 Thieves. I was hoping that they would get like Secret Whales or MKOI or VKS, like something, a little bit of an easier draw after getting all these brutal draws. But again, I mean, if they could beat T1, like that would be insane. But I really don't expect it. I feel like we saw them play incredible against BLG. Like I think legitimately they played that so well. I felt like I saw a lot of Western fans talking about like, oh, like BLG, they're just trolling. What are they doing with this Caitlyn draft? Like that is their shit. Like that is their stuff that they play.
They were undefeated. Yeah,
exactly. Like that is one of their best possible drafts. And a lot of the LPL casters I talked to, and I saw Dom tweet this out. He said he thought that was like the most unexpected win he's like ever seen at Worlds. I think is what he said, based on the drafts and the teams. Right, like that is their best thing. And Ayla and FBI were smurfing in the 2v2, really were able to neutralize well, but they've also done some very 100 Thieves things where it's like, I look at this HLE game and they actually had the first couple kills and like had some good things going for them, but then they lose Senaflash, and then I just did not understand this decision to fight Grubs with like Sion behind you. We're walking into Grubs to fight it with no flash on our Senna. I just felt like it was just guaranteed death. And some of these bad habits that 100 Thieves have, where I think they can kind of like fight their way out of it in the LTA and in the LCS, where it's like, oh, we're just going to outhands you. Like we're going to troll, but then we're going to come back to the next fight and we're just going to beat you. These teams are just as good at team fighting as you are, or better at when you go to the international level. So you don't get to make those mistakes and then just like fight your way out against a T1 or against an HLE. And so I feel like that has kind of plagued them in the last couple games that they played against TES and against HLE. It's like they make a mistake or two and the game is just done, right? Like you're just not going to come back.
Yeah, I think people would kind of have to be mad to expect 100 Thieves to win this one. It's T1 with their backs against the wall. Good luck, I guess. But I will say, maybe. I mean, that would be absolutely insane. That would be the most insane thing ever. And I would be all for it. But I fear all great things do come to an end, and this might be the end of 100 Thieves' run. But honestly, they beat BLG. Dokla's been making some banger content, some good shortlist vlogs going out. So it's been awesome. I mean, I remember at the start of this split, we talked about them having this like last dance as they were leaving. And then as the split started, it was like, wow, this is like the worst dance ever. Like they're just crashing and burning. And then they've had this resurgence with Dokla. And so, you know, I think regardless if they win or lose, they had a great run. And it's been really fun to watch.
Yep. I mean, Dokla has just been so fun. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say as well that the fact they are getting the most brutal draw, one of the most brutal draws in World's history. My memory, I've seen all the Worlds. I can't remember a more brutal one, but this has got to be up there, man. Like at every stage, they have almost picked like the worst pick to go against. But it does create more content. Like Dokes is just pumping out vlog after vlog, like memeing on the fact, you know, of the matches that they're actually getting and how they're going. And so, as far as our, you know, story for these T1 or for these 100 Thieves players, of them trying to use this year that they know that the 100 Thieves organization is leaving the LCS as basically a billboard for themselves, they have created that billboard, and like the entire world is watching. We put this on broadcast. I don't know if you saw, but the last Big Dokes vlog got 4 million views in China.
I actually saw updated. It was over 6 million.
He's actually just popping off, and so. Yeah, everybody is watching, everyone is taking notice, and everyone also is like, all right, you guys are getting massively screwed in the draws right now. So, you know, at the very least, it allows all of these players to go against T1, the literal most legendary organization in the history of the game. Like, what better billboard could you possibly want or have? So, like, if they can do anything, it would be absolutely sick. And it's also just like always a dream for every League of Legends player, to play against T1. So, by the same token of, yeah, it's super duper hard, and they're quite probably going to lose. It is still, I feel like it has been such a cool year for them. And since they did open up this tournament by beating BLG, they do have everyone's respect from that. And then knowing that they have had a really tough path.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just kind of hoping that they can at least have some competitive games. Yeah.
Yeah.
I expect them to lose, but I want them to kind of show their best. And because the TES and HLE ones were just like over so fast, that it's just
those were some speed runs.
Yeah, those are just tough games to watch where you have that one fight where it's just horrible, and then you're like, well, all right, it's 7 minutes in, the game's over. Now we just have to wait 20 minutes for the next to explode. So I'm really hoping that they can be competitive, that they can bring out some good drafts and stuff. They have a couple days of prep, so I'm going to be excited to see what they cook with. But yeah, Dokla, it's been we talked about this before. I know Meteos on the dive and stuff, where it's just like when he came back, I did an interview with him and I was talking with him before, and he was just saying how like he really didn't want to waste this second opportunity. Like he wanted to kind of do it how he should have done it the first time, so to speak, with, like having more personality and like, being himself and like doing this stuff. And I just think it's really cool that he's had the opportunity to like, he's earned the opportunity to go to Worlds and to showcase that here, right? Like, and all his vlogs and stuff are obviously completely popping off. The last update I saw, the person who did the tweet that I guess was out on broadcast about the 4 million, they updated it the day after and it was at 6 million, and that was 2 days ago. So like he is getting so many views on Weibo and whatnot, and even just on Twitter and stuff, people are loving it. So I think he's made a lot of new fans, and hopefully 100 Thieves can make some magic happen. But we'll see. It's going to be a tough one. But I think that is going to be about it for the dive driven by Kia. Thanks everyone for hanging out, for watching with us. Meteos and I are probably going to bed. Kobe's probably going to bed in a very different time zone. And yeah, I'll be flying out to Worlds tonight. So I'll see you tomorrow or something, Kobe. And I'll be on Worlds, and we're going to keep having more dives after each stage. So we're going to have another one, I think, after the next week, and then another one after quarterfinals or something like that. And we'll be continuing to do the dive throughout the event. So let us know what you want to see from us. And until next time, we will see you all later. Remember, you can check us out on Spotify, on YouTube. Make sure to give us a follow, a subscription, so you can find every episode of The Dive. And Worlds is going to be returning, I don't know when it is. Let me pull up the doc. It is the 22nd, I think.
We have two off days.
Okay, we have 2 off days. So Worlds returns this Wednesday at 1 a.m. Pacific, 1 in the morning, as CFO takes on HLE, followed by G2 versus Fly. We'll see you all there.